Wyatt Sicks t-shirt, Return of CM Punk t-shirt, Wyatt Sicks group. So what's your thoughts on the whole Wyatt Sicks thing? I guess I don't know if I had a chance to ask you that as well. That
we
happened
actually
last
didn't talk about that. Yeah, because that was the week prior when we did the show. I'm sorry, I said last week, it was a week prior. Yeah, the Wyatt Sicks didn't hit me right. I think it hit my co-host a lot harder. He was adamantly against it. I'm just against the idea of anything being done supernaturally. I really don't think that they should do that. I did follow the buzzards. I did read the website. I did check out the video clips. And when you read all the things that WWE had interpreted and put online behind the QR codes, it tells a very interesting story, almost a little too deep, I think, for the common WWE audience or the common wrestling fan. Not that it's like way above anybody's caliber, but it tells this weird story about the split between his brother wanting to pay homage or love Bray, and then following the teachings of Bray and the Fiend. And so it's this weird kind of like psycho pseudo breakdown, almost like he's kind of going through a mental breakdown in his scribblings, talking about the reemergence of the Wyatt Sicks and everything else like that. So when we saw what was presented on Monday, obviously Triple H and Adam have both kind of come forward and said that Chad's okay. He's not dead.
Exactly.
Triple H openly said, he's like, we didn't murder him. He wasn't shot through the head, which I think is funny because even people on Wikipedia jumped on there and put the whole rest in peace to Chad Gable under his date. So a lot of people actually thought that, I assume that Chad may have passed, but no, for the storyline purposes, they made it very clear that Chad's fine. He just got his ass kicked. And, myself and Kevin talked about a little bit on Friday too, that the assumed other bodies in the shots were nobody that we knew. I know that people were saying Braun Strowman. There was a couple other names floating around that might have been some of the bodies, but the only named body that we really know of was Chad Gable, and he's supposedly fine. So for that instance that they took the supernatural out of it, I have a little more hope this week. I have a little bit more hope tonight that what we see is going to be more of a presentation of like the cult atmosphere. Because to me, Phil, the cult atmosphere of the Wyatt family was my favorite.
Me
I
too.
wasn't a huge fan. Like the Pee-wee's Playhouse take, I enjoyed it for the first few weeks, but then it felt like it was just a medium for them to like extort and sell merchandise, where I think that the Bray Wyatt character mixed in with the Firefly Funhouse was supposed to be a lot more cerebral. It was supposed to be a lot darker. It was supposed to be this take on, look at this wrestler. Oh, he's fun and he's happy, but now he's with your kids' minds. And I always kind of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
No, go right ahead, bro. You can say cock balls. We say everything here.
All right. So it was like this pseudo take on, Bray Wyatt's character developing, but then they went silly. And Alexa Bliss came around and started making everybody puke up black blood or black ooze everywhere. And then
Shout out Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah, I mean, and then Bray Wyatt comes back like a burnt raisin. It was just, I don't know, man. Like the supernatural stuff, they need to stay far away from that.
Yeah.
It's far more believable that, they've gotten Dexter Loomis, they got Bo, they got Nikki, God, who else am I missing here?
So here it's Eric Rowan,
Eric
Dexter
Rowan,
Loomis,
yes.
Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, and Uncle Howdy.
Right, and Uncle Howdy, which is Bo, but they got them all together and they're following the teachings of Bray and they're following the teachings of the Wyatt family. That to me strikes as a far more interesting story than, oh, look, they have supernatural powers.
I
and
agree.
Nikki Cross kind of worried me too on the supernatural front, because even if you didn't want to take into account that apparently the Wyatt Sicks just murdered all these people in the back, which they didn't, Nikki came out very Sister Abigailingly.
Yeah.
And she was crawling on the floor and she had the face paint that looked like she was undead. So I wasn't sure if she was just portraying Sister Abigail or if she's supposed to quote unquote be Sister Abigail, a la what they did to Alexa Bliss. So like I said, there was like a lot of worry in me. And for the most part, I'm like, As long as they keep it away from the supernatural, I think I can be okay with it. What were your thoughts on it, man?
Man, so basically, I really liked it. My whole thought process was this. I just felt like from a artistic standpoint, I would have did it a little differently because we've always had the spooky and the camera follows them around and everything. And my whole thing was like, dude, why didn't you have the door light up? And then like pardon me, not Alexa Bliss. See, I'm thinking that too because
I'm
she's
with you.
very Sister Abigail-y, right? So Nikki Cross comes crawling out, right? And so when the cameraman sees that, they should have did it like Blair Witch style where he's like this and he starts running backstage, and then that's where holy everyone's beat up, and then he looks in the corner and there's a dude with a hammer and he's like, oh, and then he stumbles this way and then he looks over and then there's Loomis cracking his knuckles or whatever. I would have did it that way because that's something different. That's something I don't think's been done that I can recall, at least not in WWE. But at the same time, it is like an homage to Bray, and I feel like the people in this faction are the right choices. Like they're all sort of like lost people from groups, you know,
absolutely.
which gives me the cult feeling to where I go, okay, they can incorporate. Hopefully they go down the cult route and they tell that story of just like these are all lost sheep or lost buzzards that Bray whatever he sowed his seeds before he left and whatever he lives through, whatever, however they explain it. And I agree, like Dave Meltzer was saying some like, oh, they all have to be like supermen who know selling. It's like, no, they don't, you know, like Joe Gacy could just be like a whipping boy, you know, he could just be Mikey Whipwreck, who's like a whatever. But
well, I like that they each individual see, and this is the other thing too, is I wonder if they're going to keep their individual identities that they had before they were part of the Wyatt Sicks. Meaning, one of the things that I was thinking about too, and I don't even know if I talked about this on the show with Joe or not, but I'm wondering or waiting for the day that Indy runs across Dex with the new dreadlocks. And I want to see if they continue that, like if she calls him out, you know, as Dex, but also as part of the Wyatt Sicks. Like, will they branch those storylines that, you know, Eric Rowan was a part of with the original family? Will they branch these gaps?
I think they have to.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think they have to, especially with Bo. Yeah, I think they have. And this is what I'm mostly pumped for. Ready from it all is that Bo Dallas is now going to be, I could see him being like in the main event now from this, just or at least an attempt. Like, here you go. Like, here's a big heel for Cody or something, or whoever the heavyweight champ is. But he could be like a top guy coming from this. And he's a guy that I always believed in. Before we were believing in Joe Hendry, I was believing in Bo Dallas and NXT. And I always looked at him as like, one day that kid will be a top dude in WWE. I always saw that in him. And he never really got the chance. The B League or what was he?
Yeah, with Michael McGillicuddy.
Yeah, just all he had the social outcasts and all of that. But ultimately, I put it over because this is why. It's over with the fans. It felt emotional. It was a tribute to Bray. The production quality was great. They set all that up during the main event. They were putting all that work in, dude. They can't, not to make it about AEW, but they can't even like light the the backstage properly for segments, you know? And they did all this. So I'm
WWE has some practice with a lot of those pre-filmed segments anyway. There's been some really good ones and there's been some not so good ones, but there is a question I do want to ask, which is kind of imperative of the group. Considering Chad Gable as a super heel at this point, especially for what he's been doing to Alpha Academy as a whole, was one of the people that was named and visually named too, that was laid the hell out by the Wyatt Sicks. Now, with that, does the Wyatt Sicks come out as baby faces? Do they come out as heels? Or do they come out as above that and they're just there to wreck and be chaos?
I think that's what it is right there. I think that they are cool tweener. Now, I give AEW for doing tweeners all the time. The cool tweener, is he heel, is he babyface? But WWE can get away with it because they don't do that all the time. And I think they will do heelish stuff, but I think the crowd will just embrace it so much that, for instance, that's why Gable, because he did he was being a weak ass dude to Otis and
Right.
everything.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's why he got his. So was that like crazy that they beat all those? And is that what a heel would do? Yes, but also the crowd's gonna love this and chew this up. So give them like 6 months to really like get heat, or they go full baby. But I just don't see that. They're all spooky, and so I think over time that heel heat they'll do it right. Here's the other thing that needs to be noted. Triple H is allowing this to happen. So Vince was always, yeah, I got an idea, put him back in the Firefly Funhouse, and
Right.
yeah, we'll let Alexa Bliss sit on top of Randy Orton. Yeah.
Well, that's
You
the
know?
thing too, is I mean, they even talked about in the Bray Wyatt documentary, which I think you've seen, is they talked about how upset Bray would be after some of these meetings, how unhappy he was with some of the direction that they almost made it sound like he was a prima donna, but I felt that that was an unfair take.
Me
I'm
too.
like, if the guy has a plan and you guys are always, and WWE as a whole, it's always pushing for people to step up and step forward. And here you have this creative mind behind Bray Wyatt that is exactly doing just that. And you keep going in there with the plan. Like, at what point are you not supposed to become frustrated with these wild directions that it took? And I don't know. I've always felt that the character, I mean, obviously we know Bray Wyatt lost almost like every match, every major feud he would constantly lose, but that's because his character was so strong. The Fireflies in the audience would constantly tell WWE that this guy is necessary. So it wasn't as if he was losing love for it. It's just the ideas that he wanted to take the character, I don't think ever really arrived there. And I think there was a lot of frustration there. And so now that we bring Triple H in as the head of this, as the guy who's creatively, I guess, embracing the ideas that Bray may have had, or that Bo has, or maybe even the entire group has for the Wyatt Sicks, I have a better feeling that this is going to at least go in closer in the direction that Bray originally intended than back during the Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, et cetera days.
Right, and it's a shame he had to pass for it to happen. It's like the Briscoes in AEW. It's a shame one of them had to pass to get on TV on AEW. There, like you hear the way the crowds pop for Mark still and everything. But I don't know how WWE. You want to talk about a big WWE flop? How the didn't they tell a story where Undertaker and his urns like energy went into his lantern, and then Bray was the one to defeat Taker at Mania? Like that was the story, bro. It was right there, and Vince is like, no, if it's not you, it's gotta be Brock. I mean, he's pooped on a girl's head with me. I gotta put him over on you.
Yeah, no, there's definitely. I mean, if they were going to do the Supernatural, they did miss the bus when they did that.
Yeah, dude.
Undertaker,
and they met like Demon Finn and all of that. Like you could have did so much with that. But here's the Wyatt Sicks hijacking Pat McAfee. Love you, bud. Don't pull me for this, but we're gonna.
After it happens on Monday Night Raw or whatever, people were like, "That's on his birthday," and they look on. You guys all right? After it happened.
So you lied. Does that mean they go after Triple H or Pat McAfee? That is the question that I want answered. It seems like wherever the Wyatt Sicks are planting these little clues, it is a little bit about what the clue's about, but it seems like now this go around, because with Bray, it was very much like giving hints to certain things and explaining.
Yes.
This is more like, no, they're targeting people. The Chad Gable thing, like you're seeing glitches in front of people, you're seeing them stand behind people that eventually, or Chad Gable at least got attacked, they targeted him. So I feel as though they're targeting one of these guys right here. I thought Triple H was one of the attacked. Like I didn't play Where's Waldo, but like I also read some people were like Bruce Pritchard, Triple H, Braun Strowman were attacked and all that in the backstage in the gorilla position. So I don't know, but I think it would be cool if maybe the Wyatts also, because all the wrestlers are like, we just took off before the Wyatt family attacked, or the Wyatt Sicks or whatever attacked. But then what about Triple H and all of these guys? So I think it'd be cool if they also like go after management and they're just sort of, above everything. Like I'm okay with that.
Into that chaos that you were saying though before too. Like I'm not sure if they're going to come out and they're going to be weird baby faces in the sense of like the the restrictive baby faces where they don't mean to do good things but they accidentally do good things. You know what I mean? Or even in the heel way, whereas you want to be heels and you accidentally do heelish things against your better nature. But I kind of feel you on the chaos theory. I kind of feel that the way that this is presented, like I said, all the evidence that they posted online, it really does feel like a shattered version of who Bo was once upon a time, of who Uncle Howdy even is now. And I can see that kind of going down the scope where they come down to the ring, interrupt a match, and just kill everybody. Just everybody gets their asses handed to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what side of fan favorite, fan antagonist, doesn't matter. Everybody's going down. And I kind of wonder if that's going to be one of those groups that everybody kind of unites up and tries to defeat themselves. So
Right. And just to add on to that too, we've been on it for a minute. We'll switch gears here, but just to add on to that too, it's like the reason given for why they attacked Gable was like, if you uncode the message, it said, you stop saying thank you or whatever. And Gable used to do the thank you. And he was, when he was like a goofy baby face, but then he got all serious. So like, yeah, they murked him and ravaged everything and very heelish, of course. But again, he was like being a piece of shit. So it's sort of, yeah, they're almost anti-heroes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. I'm down with it.
Yeah.